Good afternoon. I'm Brian Orlando with my friend Ron Goldstein. To be honest with you, Ron, we've been hearing a lot about Sergeant Bergdahl. We've been hearing a lot about how President Obama is going to get impeached over this. We've been hearing a lot, period, and you're getting mad off camera, but I really want you to translate all of that to everybody. What's going on right now?
Well, it's very easy. It's, forever throughout the history of our country, foreign policy was always taboo. You never touch foreign policy. You could politicize the president all you want, and behind the scenes, you guys can, hash it out, hook it out, whatever. But you never, in front of the cameras, in front of the press, politicize foreign policy. Now it's gotten so bad ever since Obama got in, because the Republicans have been so desperate because their policies bankrupted the country so much that they went after, not only went after foreign policy, but now we go in and we get the last soldier out of Afghanistan, and they politicize it. Fox News, they put on how he danced ballet for 4 years. They said he was drugged. They said he was a Muslim extremist. They said that he wandered off. They're taking a soldier who was on the battlefield, who we were leaving behind because we're about to we've cut this deal. We're leaving shortly. We're not going to have any leverage. The only leverage we have left to get this guy out is closing fast. We went and got it. We gave them back 5 prisoners that haven't been in circulation for 10 years, 5 years, whatever, 10 years. 10 years. And, there are anybody from 10 years ago is irrelevant in Al-Qaeda. So, these guys are not that important anymore. Another thing is with the war winding down, if we want to honor our commitments and our treaties and our image around the world, it mandates in combat that when the war is over, that you have to hand back your POWs who they were. So we're about to lose all this leverage, and at the very end, we go and grab this one soldier that's left, and what happens? It's completely politicized to death. I mean, the stuff about he was in ballet, and Fox News makes a big deal about this. It's despicable. It's despicable.
The right wing are saying that he converted to Islam during his 5-year stint as a POW.
I don't care what he's done over there. We put him over there, and we have a responsibility to bring him back. Whatever he did, you can go over. Quite frankly, once this is all blown over, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to touch it because he was a soldier left on the battlefield. This is not about Bergdahl. This is about Obama. That's all it's about. And as Hillary gets to be more prominent, it's going to be about Hillary. It's going to be about whoever is in. And to go after, to savage this guy with a character assassination, I don't care what he's done over there. It's pathetic. And to think that people vote, support these people, support their views, re-elect them, put them back in there, it's just completely foreign to me. Because they're the same people who, think of it this way. Think of it this way, Brian. Think if he left him over there. What would happen then? Well, and what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to leave him over there to rot, to die? Is it good that he gets executed?
There were many right-wing bloggers that championed his retrieval. There were many right-wing bloggers that wanted this guy Bergdahl rescued.
And they were blaming Obama for not making it happen.
Now that he's rescued, now Obama should face impeachment.
His father has an Islamic beard. I mean, every time that the opposition sees that Obama does something right, they piss all over it. I don't mind saying that. That's what they do.
Your job throughout the years was helping political candidates get elected.
But not at any cost. I do that, but I don't do it at any cost. I do it because I do what's right for my country. And I always never lose sight of that. What is good for the country?
Do the GOP still feel like they're doing what's best for the country, or
No.
do they just feel as if they have a personal agenda? Do they not see that anymore?
It's not a personal agenda.
They seem to be blinded about hate. They seem to be blinded with hatred for Obama.
First of all politicians have a personal agenda, but they're in survival mode. They know that their policies were not good for the country. I really think I've tried to put myself into their thinking, and it's very important that you do that. And the only thing I can think is they could say, look, our problems are we have so many problems. They're so insurmountable. We can't save the world. We can't even save our country. So let's save our own slice of it. Let's take care of our own. Let's take care of the people who help to keep us in there. That's what they do. And it's the interest groups. And for the Republicans, it's big business. It's money interest. It's basically what got to do about money. The bigger the money, the bigger the interest for the GOP. And to have that philosophy and then go out and just savage a soldier like this. I mean, you want to look at the character of every soldier that's ever been in there, and you want to go after any of the others? No, they're not interested in that because Obama didn't save them. I hate to break it to people, but Republican presidents can do things that are right. Democratic presidents can do things that are right. It's not, it's nice that you go after him and every single thing he does is wrong, even when they're your policies, when they're your healthcare policies to begin with, your energy policies to begin with. I don't know who to fault because you can blame, if you want to blame the voters, you have to think about this. There are people who go out because of Republican policies and they're working 3 jobs just to keep afloat. And they're very tired, and when they come home, they don't have time to look at a lot of stuff like maybe a political junkie like me and some of the rest of my colleagues. But they don't have that kind of time. So they take the simplest form of information. And Fox News and the New York Post, they're more than ready to comply with that. Except what they feed you is junk food. They feed you junk. And it's hard to fault the voter. It really is. I just wish there was a little bit more responsibility. I wish there was a grown-up in the room. In the Senate, we used to have, I wrote about this, we used to have Ted Kennedy was the grown-up in the room to slap down any senators that were just out of control. We used to have CBS News with Walter Cronkite, who would show you what it's really like. We used to have a responsible New York Times that wasn't desperate to stay in survival mode, that was the gospel, the Bible of news. And Time Magazine, we don't have that stuff anymore. And it's hard for people to search where to get their information, where to get the so-called truth, which is so elusive that I've talked about before too. But you got to keep an open mind that when a president goes and takes a guy who's been there for 5 years, think about it yourself. What would you be like after 5 years? I think I'd be a little loony. I would have cashed it in a long time. I wouldn't have made 5 years. My God, think how mentally tough this guy must be. But think what he's gone through. You got a guy like McCain, who is just, he was in Hanoi Hilton for 5 years himself. He ought to be a little bit more respectful about what's going on. You're supposed to respect him because he served 5 years in Hanoi Hilton, but you're supposed to piss all over Sergeant Bergdahl. It doesn't make sense at all.
Ron wrote a blog on Ron Goldstein, politicalpundit.wordpress.com. He expresses a lot of these views. He expresses his anger, sometimes a little more eloquently in the spoken word than you do verbally. But this is what I like. I like the raw emotion.
I'd like to say something to John McCain, if he ever sees this podcast. You remember when George Bush questioned your sanity and said you were crazy because as a result of spending 5 years in LA. Think about how that hurt. Now think about what's going on with the character assassination of Bergdahl and his family.
What Ron does is he helps political candidates get elected to different offices, from local offices all the way to the White House. Mm-hmm. Ron's been around in all aspects of the political landscape. You can email Ron at freemediainc.com, and if you disagree or agree with something he says, he'd be happy to speak to you one-on-one.
We'd love to see the disagreements as well, because I love the political discourse.
And there's plenty of that right now. We'll see you next week.